Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper, and today I've got another video for you using the Cheerful Daisies stamp set and dies, but I just wanted to show you the suite in the catalogue. You'll find it on page 110 of the new annual catalogue, and there are some absolutely beautiful projects that have been made using the stamps, the dies and the designer series paper. So the suite as a whole comes in at £69.50, and for that you get the stamp set and the dies, these lovely papers, and they really are lovely, and these gems, adhesive backed solid gems, which are in colours that coordinate. They're mainly the new in colours. You've got Copper Clay, Wild Wheat, Pretty Peacock, which is a returning colour, I love that colour, Boho Blue, which is an in colour, Moody Mauve and Pebbled Path. So all of those, apart from Pretty Peacock, are the new in colours. Okay, and all of those feature in the papers. I also particularly like the fact that they've made this sheet here, which has got smaller sections with different things on, because you've basically got ready-made card fronts there. And obviously with the designer series paper, it's a 12 by 12 size, so that's quite a good size, and you get 2 sheets of each design. So yeah, really nice, really nice suite. That was the first thing that went on my shopping list when I saw this new annual catalogue. So just move that out of the way. For those of you that know me well, you know that when I buy something, I have to be able to think of 5 different ways that I can use it. Otherwise it's not a very good investment, and it tends to sit on my shelf and doesn't get too much action on my desk and not a lot of love. So, and that's not financially a good situation, because, you know, we work hard for our pennies, or save hard for our pennies, whichever we do, and I like to spend them on things that I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of. This is one of those sets. Okay, so you'll find another video on my YouTube channel, the Crafty Yellow Camper, which shows you a swap card that I made using the new in colours, and I didn't have, and still don't actually have, the designer series paper. They are hopefully winging their way from Germany via the United States to me, because they are one of the designer series papers that has been on offer for the month of June. So if you don't have a demonstrator and there are any papers that you want to get at a reduced price, off the top of my head, I think they were reduced from £11.75 to £8.93, I want to say. But really beautiful papers. There are some other beautiful designer series papers that are on offer until the 30th of June this year, 2023. So have a look. If you have got a demonstrator, check out your own demonstrator. If you haven't, please feel free to order via the online store and mark me up as your demonstrator, or let me know and I can order them for you. Right, okay, so I'm going to put the stamp set and the dies aside, and you'll see why in a minute. We aren't going to actually do any stamping on this next card. There's a tiny little bit and I've already done it. So what we're going to do, I'm bringing in some, what did I use? I was going to say Petal Pink, but it isn't. It is, what did I use? Flirty Flamingo. Okay, and this is just half of an A4 sheet cut in half widthways. So I'm just going to fold that in half, and that makes a standard C6 UK card, which will fit into a C6 envelope. For those of you that are not in the UK, obviously half of whatever your size of sheet will work just as well. So if it's the States, it's I think you call it letter size. Okay, but that's just half cut across that way. Okay, so that's our base. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to bring in another piece of Petal Pink. Am I? Yes, I am. I'm going to run this through an embossing folder. Now, it needs to be one of the embossing folders that doesn't come in pairs, because those are not big enough to cut a standard C6 mat. So I'm pulling out these. These are available as part of the online exclusives, and it's the basic 3D embossing folders. So you get 3 in the set. From memory, I think they were £27 for all 3, which is not a bad deal. So you get this one, which is sort of almost like a Hessian cloth effect. This dotty one, and this is the one we're going to use today. So this is sort of a floral, but it could, if you used it with one of our seasidey sets. It could almost be starfish. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly run that through my die cutting machine, stamping and die cutting machine. So pardon me, it's too big to get on my desk, otherwise I get things in the way and then end up knocking it off the desk, and that's the last thing you want to do. So I'm just running that through quickly. Please excuse the clunk. My plates are quite warped. There we go, and we're back again. So again, quick reminder, always have the hinge of the embossing folder going in first, and keep the Stampin' Up logo on the front, and then you won't damage your embossing folder. Okay, just move those aside. So if you haven't seen this pack of 3, check out the online exclusives, because there are some lovely things on there. Okay, so we've got our card base, we've got our embossed piece of cardstock. One thing you do need to remember when you run a piece of cardstock through the embossing folder, that it stretches the fibres, so it can stretch out the size of the paper, and you may wish to trim it a little bit. Okay, I want mine like that, so that's fine. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to glue that to our card base. And again, I'm using wet glue because I've got the embossed side facing up and the debossed side facing down, so the Tombow just helps it to, or whatever liquid glue you've got, just helps it to grip. And I wanted a small gap each end. Okay, so I'm just checking that that's more or less level. And the beauty of liquid glue is that you can pull it back up and reposition it if you're not happy with where it was. There we go. Okay, so the next thing I've done, so you don't have to listen to me clonking my way through my die cutting machine, just going to put that to one side. So sorry about that, ladies and gents, I caught the charging wire on my phone and you got an impromptu flash of my very untidy desk and ink storage. Okay, so in with the dies that go with this set is this die. Now this is a really, really useful die. It cuts all of this in one go, which is brilliant, and that's what I've done. I've gone ahead and I've cut these from Petal Pink, and then what I've done is I've used a blending brush, or you could use a sponge dauber, and I've just gone over the middles with some Flirty Flamingo, which is the colour of our base card. Just make sure you've popped all the bits out. This die does take a little while to prick out, but it's well worth it. Now, what this spoke to me as soon as I saw this die in the die set, because I'm a bit lazy. I like a bit of a quick fix. Sometimes I like to spend hours and hours and hours on cards, you know, when they're for somebody special or a very special occasion, but most of the time I like something that's fairly quick to put together but looks like it's taken ages. No disrespect to anybody I've made a card for recently. Okay, so what I'm going to do, you can see that these flowers are just joined by a very little tab. Hopefully you can see that. And all I'm going to do is cut them apart with my snips. And the good people at Stampin' Up have done this so that we can do this without too much faff. And if you cut close to one of the petals, really should have my glasses on doing this, then you can just trim off the other side what's left of the tab, she says. There we go. Right, I think I need to put my glasses on. I had a very late night last night. For those of you that don't know, my day job is as a childminder in the UK. So basically I look after other people's children in my own home. And over the years, I've been a registered childminder for almost 27 years. And I have been for 27 years, almost 28 years actually. And in doing that for so long, I've made some lovely friends, but they're not all still in the childminding business. But we've stayed in touch, and last night we had a meet up, and sometimes we go out, but sometimes we're such chatterboxers. It's nice to meet up at one of our houses, and that way we're not noisy and interrupting other people when we're out. We do tend to get a little bit carried away sometimes and remember some really fun times we've had, and the laughter can get a little bit annoying to other people, I'm quite sure. Okay, so anyway, we met up at a lady's house who is still a childminder. She's myself and her and my daughter are the only ones that are left out of a group of about 8 or 9 of us that always used to meet up. So we had some other lovely ladies come and join us, and it was a very nice evening. But as always happens with women when they get together and they haven't seen each other for a little while, the time whizzes by, and before we knew it, it was midnight. I'm not really used to staying up that late because I have fibromyalgia. My daily job usually has me exhausted by the end of the day. Luckily I wasn't at work yesterday, and yeah, 9:30, 10 o'clock is usually my bedtime, so that was exceptionally late for me. And I did get a decent amount of sleep, but I'm just not very awake today. Probably not the best day to film videos. Anyway, enough of my waffle. Right, while I've been chatting to you about my last evening. Oh, I should probably say we had an Italian theme. And so one of our lovely ladies bought homemade tiramisu, which looked amazing. I'm on a diet, so I didn't have any. But I did have gluten-free and dairy-free profiteroles, which are also amazing. For anyone in the UK, if you know anyone that's dairy-free and gluten-free, Tesco's sell them. It's the only place I've ever found them, and they are absolutely yummy. Not good for my diet, but nevertheless, they are yummy. Okay, so I'm just finishing pricking out these last few bits. It's these little circles in the middle here that take the time, because sometimes you push them through, but they don't always come off on the back. Anyway, I'll prick them out as we go. So I'm going to bring our card back in, and I'm going to bring in some mini dimensionals. So what we're going to do, I can't actually show you this card because I gave it away to a friend for her birthday. So you're going to have to just wait and see until I finish making it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mount up some get my teeth in. Some dimensionals on the back. I'm trying not to make this video too long and waffly. Okay, so I'm doing the smaller flowers first. I think when I made this originally, and some of my class ladies have made this as well, I used 3 die cuts, but it might have been 2. So I've cut 3 apart and we'll use what we use. Okay, and then I'm just doing the same thing on these half flowers. You don't need loads of dimensionals. I sometimes watch videos and I'm squirming in my seat at how many dimensionals people sometimes put on the back of things. I know you want them to be secure and to be popped up well and everything, but you know, I'm a bit more frugal and I like to stretch it out a little bit. Now I think we can go for the odd larger dimensional on these ones. What you don't want is for it to show through the other side because they're white. Okay, so I'll put a couple of bigger ones on there and then we'll go back into the smaller ones. We do sell dimensionals in black as well, so you don't necessarily get the stark white behind a darker project, but I think this will be okay. Right, the other thing you can do is if your dimensionals do show, especially in the middle, I haven't put any in the middle for this reason, but if you do feel the need to put one in the middle, if you put the dimensional on first and then ink the middle, then the dimensional will get coloured as well. Okay, so we're going to start with our big flowers. Okay, and I'm going to start layering those up. So I'm going to use 2 big ones to start with, and we'll fill in as we go around. So I always find if I'm doing this kind of card, it's easier to start with the bigger shapes with the sort of where you want them to be, and then fill in with the smaller ones. Otherwise, if you do all the small ones first, you sometimes come back and think, oh, I haven't got enough room for the big one. Okay, so that one's going to go there like that. And you can see here, you can see a little bit of the dimensional, but we'll fix that, so that's not a problem. So I'm just making sure. Have I done it on that one? No, on this one there's just a little bit showing through there, but it's fine. Okay, and that one's going to go there. And then we're going to bring in our half flowers. Do you know, my top tip for getting dimensional backs off is to stick your thumbnail in the middle, and that's exactly what I'm not doing. And that one's going to go on there like that. So let's do as I always say on this one. It makes them so much easier to get off. You can either pick the backs off with your take a pick tool, or stick your thumbnail, if you've got any, in the middle of the dimensional back. Okay, so we've got almost a wreath. I haven't done that very well, actually. My original card was much better, but you know, you get the idea. And if you want to use more flowers, I mean, I have got some more, so you could go around and pop in a few more if you felt the need, like that. And in fact, actually, I might do that. Let's pop some small dimensionals on that and just balance it out a little bit, I think. Let's pop some. I mean, you can always cut these dimensionals in half, even though they are really, really tiny. You can also get some really thin bits out by using the edges. I always use the edges on my dimensionals. Actually, sometimes they're actually a better shape than the dimensionals themselves. So, right, I can't remember where I was going to put this now. So I think we were going to go in with another small flower in under there, like that. And then we'll go in with this other half of one. Let's have it the right way up, shall we? We'll go in with this other half of one there. There we go. Yeah, that's better. It's more of an oval now. Okay, but you can just play. I just love the fact that with one pass you get these 3 flowers and the leaves. Now my leaves are in petal pink, but obviously you can go in and tuck those in as well. Now you will have to glue these, so I'm just going to put the tiniest bit of Tombow. Just make sure it's on the back. Sorry, I've just realised you can't see what I'm doing. Just putting the tiniest little bit of Tombow onto the solid leaf. So we don't want it to squirt out. Let's move those to one side. And then we can bring these in. That one's already flipped itself over. And then I'm just going to tuck those in around our oddly shaped circle. Let's put one in there, and we've got one more. So I have used 3 lots of leaves. Okay, there we go. And then what I've done is I've used this this die here, this label die, which has got a really nice stitched edge on it. And I've used the sentiment "Wishing you the brightest birthday," which is out of the stamp set and does just fit into that. Okay, and then I'm just going to put that on some dimensionals as well. And we'll go for big ones this time, so I don't need a million small ones. Just stick my thumbnail in the back to get the backs off there. I find these everywhere. I find them in my bra, over my feet. I found one downstairs the other day and I hadn't had any downstairs, so I'd obviously walked it downstairs. I tend to, especially this time of the year, tend to walk around in bare feet, and I think sometimes they just get stuck to the bottoms of my feet. And then we've got this, so I've stamped this in petal pink onto some very vanilla and then just cut it out, and that is going to go in the middle. Not very straight, Julia. Am I the only crafter that talks to themselves when they're crafting? I know I'm technically talking to you guys that are hopefully going to watch this video, but I do tend to talk to myself. Right, there we go. And just to give it a little bit of a finishing touch, I'm just bringing in my Wink of Stella and I'm just going over the middles. You could do this before you position them, but I'm doing it now because then I don't need to colour bits that don't need colouring. Okay, so everything, yeah, okie dokie. So I've just added a little bit of Wink of Stella to those middles. I don't know if you can pick it up because it's oh, there you go, there you go. Just added a little bit to the middles just to give them a little bit of shimmer. Okay, so there's our finished card. I hope you like it, and I'll be back soon with some more cards using this beautiful Cheerful Daisy set. So I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Happy stamping.